Braun, you and I have drawn this comparison before, maybe on the postcast. This is 2020 all over again. 0-3 start. You beat a doormat to get your first win. Narrow loss against a powerhouse. And then if you recall in 2020, they went and faced another doormat in the Atlanta Falcons. and got blown out. And that's what the Bears represent on Sunday.
Here we go.
Whether it's 1-5 or 2-4, that 2020 team also had a soft middle part of the schedule and also clawed back into things at 6-6. And by doing so, they extended the life of Kirk Cousins potentially in Minnesota. They missed out on a chance at a Justin Fields or maybe a Trey Lance, what have you. So is it worth, like,
that's too bad
to the fan? Right. Might have dodged a bullet there. Got Christian Darrisaw instead. Is it worth it though, Braun, to this fan base to have a potentially exciting December, chance at a wild card, in exchange for what you could be missing out on in the draft? Because a lot of people in the comments want this tank. They're excited about this tank.
Oh, yeah. Everybody hates the Vikings, especially Vikings fans. Nobody's
Vikings
rooting for them to win anymore.
Well, okay.
You've accused them of being quitters, Braun. You've been.
And double down on that. They are quitters and losers. And because they want to lose. Definitionally, losers.
I feel like losers don't usually want to lose. I feel like wanting to lose and succeeding at that is a little bit different.
Excited, I don't know that we have losers, enthusiastic losers.
Yeah, embracing the loss. So my question for tankers, maybe that's what I want to call them. Tankies is already a word that has taken its own life in internet vocabulary, so I'm not going to use that one. But tankers, who do they want to tank for? Because if you did maybe a poll or a survey and you excluded Caleb Williams, right? Let's assume Caleb Williams is the number one. Who do you want to tank for, right? Because I don't think the Vikings, even if they tank, and again, they're not going to tank. There's a guy currently on the Vikings coaching staff who is suing the Miami Dolphins for tanking. They're not going to tank, right? That's just not happening. But should they lose games, who would it be for? Because they're not going to get the worst record in the NFL. They just aren't. I think you would end up with a bevy of quarterback names. A lot of them. You would end up with Michael Penix, which I don't know.
Bo Nix, Shadur Sanders, JJ McCarthy, Drake May,
JJ McCarthy. Right. There's 5 or 6 quarterbacks that you could end up with as your survey results, right? That to me suggests that tanking is not required to get a quarterback.
Fair.
Yeah.
And maybe, this happens a lot where there's a really exciting quarterback class in like October, November, and then by January, February, it's not so exciting. And hey, sometimes it's exciting in April, and then Malik Willis goes in the 3rd round, right?
Yeah. Or sometimes it's like 2021, right?
Where
there's one guy that's like very obvious, and then the rest of them are various levels of catastrophe for the team that drafted them.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now, I mean, not that Sam Howell is playing well at all, but he looks like he was a better pick than Kenny Pickett, right? Right? Like,
that's insane.
Yeah, right? Wow. That's crazy, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, but, that's the same draft class that Desmond Ritter and Malik Willis, and,
Kwesi missed out on his guy.
The Vikings are prepared to trade up for Sam Howell. But yeah,
it's such a good point, though. You're right, Arif. Outside of the one obvious Caleb Williams, it's like, well, and maybe again you can put Drake May in that top tier for sure.
Yeah,
but
maybe
outside of that, though, that's picks 1, 2, and then Marvin Harrison maybe 3. So Drake May, Caleb, you got to be in the top 3 picks. Outside of that, yeah, it's kind of a crapshoot, man. You just never know.
And
I think it's just the excitement of all these this quarterback class coming out.
And this is like, from what we understand at the moment, which I tend to follow like stock reports for the draft. That's kind of one of my jobs, right? This is like a really astounding class. Like, depending on who declares, obviously. But like, you've got, a couple of tackles, like the one from Penn State. You've got the one from Notre Dame. Both of them are really fantastic. You've got a great set of receivers. Obviously, Marvin Harrison is there. There's a couple of others, Keon Coleman, right? Then you've got one of the greatest tight ends that we've seen in draft history come up. That might play a role, right? And so this could end up being a really stunning class that also happens to include maybe 5 first-round quality quarterbacks. I've seen Shedeur Sanders go in the 2nd round a lot. That's exciting to me. I don't know. So This
what's
feels
impressive
like
too, and sorry to interrupt, Arif, but just what's impressive is that all the names that we were excited about, they're all performing. Like they all showed up this college football season, and they're like,
no Spencer Rattlers.
They're all in the top 20, top 25 PFF.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Is that like a lot of times the preseason hype quarterbacks, half of them drop off. That didn't happen seemingly. All of them are playing really well, and then also a couple of others have thrown their name in the ring, and some of the potentials that were like, hey, this guy could work his way up into first round conversation. Like Bo Nix did do that, right?
Riley Leonard, Duke, maybe.
Yeah,
there's names. Yeah.
So like we've got people appearing as potential first rounders, as well as the guys that are living up to their hype. There's no like Matt Barkleys, right? Like these are people who are like, yeah, they're first rounders and they're playing like first rounders. It's fantastic.
Brian Brome, Louisville. Okay.
Well,
you guys don't remember that one. All right.
Great offensive coordinator.
Right. Touche.